So let's fix that. One of the biggest problems that I see with content marketing is one, not sharing content in the right phase of marketing. What I mean is a lot of content that I see for small businesses are in a conversion phase. That's like visit my website and buy my product, or uh, here's the checkout link if you want to purchase. Buy now. All of these calls to action are to purchase right now, as if somebody is ready to spend their money. But with content marketing, if you're just getting started, a lot of your audience is not in the buying mode yet. They're usually in the phase of discovery. They are looking for um, solutions. Sometimes they didn't even know they were going to run into you. Sometimes they are not sure of what to look for, and they're just kind of like unaware. So starting with conversion, where you're asking people to buy when they're not even sure what the right solution for themselves is leaving you without results, to say the least, right? Either your content's getting ignored, maybe you might catch a couple of likes, but a lot of people don't really like sales content, especially if it doesn't apply to their current situation right now. That's going to help them the most right now. So let's talk about some content that you can do to help you get to the conversions and you actually have people check out to buy your stuff. The first part is really having clarity on your customer. I call your online customer your DCA, your digital customer avatar, because people buy differently online than they buy in person. In person, there is a lot of communication that happens that is not verbal. There's a lot of communication that literally is done just from seeing, from touching the products, from being in the environment and catching the vibe, so to speak, that you just don't get online. So the same person that would buy something in person might not buy as quickly online because they didn't get the same experience. And it's not to say that they wouldn't necessarily eventually buy online, but we have to account for the lack of communication online that doesn't get translated naturally when you're creating content, which is something that you have to actually infuse yourself, because you don't have the physical surrounding, you don't have the physical product in your hand, you don't have um, the environment, the vibe. So a store sets a vibe. I'm outside of a cafe. The vibe is fresh. It's beautiful. There's a lot of plants. There is great music. There's art. Very vibey, very cool. Like it just feels very welcoming. You have to create that online in your content. And that's not to say that means you need fancy backgrounds or anything like that, but you create that by having clarity on who your digital customer avatar is. That what does your future customer like? What are the things that make them feel good? What are the things that affect their lives as it pertains to what you can help them with? So, for instance, if you are a fitness coach, if you sell any type of nutrition products to help someone lose weight, then some of the things that affects them around their life that has like nothing to do specifically with fitness is how their physical body affects how they feel about themselves, their social interactions, right? Maybe they don't want to go out. Maybe they don't feel they look good in their clothes. Maybe they try to kind of like hide away and they act like they're introverted because they just don't want to be in public because they don't like the way that they look. Like all of these different things, right? Social stuff. Maybe they don't like to go to the beach, right? That's not necessarily connected to their fitness or their diet or losing weight exactly, but that's the experience that they have because of the problem that they want to solve. And so when you talk about knowing the clarity or having the clarity around all the different experiences, the different emotions, the different desires, problems that your future customer has, then it becomes easier to create content that attracts them, that actually catches their attention. Because it's like you're talking to them. Like if somebody yelled out angel right now, then I turn around to see if they were talking to me because they called me by my name. If someone says like, hey lady, then I might not look, right? It just depends. Hello Eli, welcome. Um, the closer your message is to reaching out to someone as if you're calling them by name, the more likely that they're going to pay attention. That is where you start building a nurturing relationship to get people to the point of conversion later down the line. And so the whole point of clarity is to build connection and to build relevance and build relatability with your brand and that future customer, because we buy from what's relatable and we buy from what's relevant to us. If it has no connection to me, then I don't care. Like I just it right? I'm not this is not something like crazy. This is like what we go through every single day. Um I am thinking about our friends. We went hiking yesterday, and he was like, "Yeah, at my wedding, I'm gonna have like alternative rock music." And who he's dating, she was like, "I won't be there," right? So she's like, she has no some music there. She has no connection to alternative rock music. But they do have a connection to, R&B and hip hop and some other music that they both like. They intersect on those things. They do not intersect on alternative rock. Like it's like way, way, way over here. And so that's the same thing with our digital customer avatar. We have to get more into relatability and um, relevance. Sorry. We have to get more into relatability and relevance to get their attention, because we don't have an environment that we can set up. Like you can walk into a store and go like, "Oh, this is pretty. Oh, this looks nice. Oh, this looks helpful," and just buy it. But online, there's a lot of things that looks pretty. There's a lot of things that looks helpful, and there's a lot of things that looks nice and useful, but you don't buy it. One, because there is an extreme lack of trust online right now. Two, there's a lot of AI, so there's a lot of fake stuff. So you don't even know if when you're putting your card information, if you're getting scammed or not. Like these are real concerns that people are having these days. And then three, there are so many competitors out there that you don't know if it's the right decision for you or if it's going to get you to the goal or the outcome that you want. These are the things that, whether or not your future customer is purposely thinking about, these are the things that are going through their head. It might come out as, I don't want to waste my money. I don't think that I can afford that right now. I want to keep researching. It might sound like that. Like if you ever hear somebody and they tell you those things, it could be a lack of trust. It could be a lack of relevance to them. Could be a lack of relatability. So let's talk about the difference between relatable content and relevant content. Relatable content is, I would say, things that are connected to their experiences. These are how they feel. These are the things that they've gone through. These are the things that they've experienced, right? Suze says clarity, relatability. Yes, absolutely. Whereas relevance is directly connected to their problem. Like how closely connected is this to the thing they actually want to solve? And how closely connected is this to the way they want to solve the problem? See, for every problem, there are multiple ways to solve that problem. And in content, you have to not only convey that it's relevant to the person looking to solve that problem, meaning that your content is talking about the problem that they want to solve, but you also have to convey how they're solving the problem with your solution. Because if the way that your solution solves the problem is not a way that they're willing to do, then there's a disconnect. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it becomes a bad thing when you actually do solve the problem the way they want to solve it, but you haven't conveyed that. This is what I call the expectations in my deeper messaging strategy. This is essentially overlapping the customer expectations on how they want to solve their problem in your content marketing, in your messaging, in the way that you convey your message online, so that people really just understand that they're in the right place. So think about, like, have you ever walked into a store and you see all kinds of things? You see food, you see clothes, you see shoes, you see tech, and you're just like, what do I get here? what what is this going to help me with? Now that might be a good place to stop by if you need a random thing, and because it seems like they carry everything, they just might have what you need in a pinch. But if I'm looking for something tech, when I was growing up okay, I'm gonna age myself a little bit, but if I was looking for something in tech when I was in high school or college, I was going to either Circuit City, which is no longer here anymore, and Best Buy, which is kind of struggling. And nowadays, if I'm looking for something tech, the first place I go is Amazon, because I know Amazon can solve the problem. And there's thousands of other websites that can solve my tech problems. There are thousands of other websites, but because Amazon is so relevant to me, not just because it can solve that one problem, but because it can solve a lot of different problems in the way that I want them to solve it. It makes it easier to think about them first. What's the way that we want to solve it? Usually fast, right? Amazon has very quick shipping, and it's not as fast as it used to be, right? We used to be able to get that one day, but you could get that 2 day shipping still. And there are some things that are delivered same day. But you have to make sure that the message connects. And you have to think about all the steps before the purchase, all the steps before someone starts buying, before someone's ready to check out, before they're willing to pull out their wallet. Give me just a minute. I'm going to put my shawl on. It's a little chilly out here now. So elegant. Okay, so we've got clarity, right? So what are the things that you want to have clarity on in your content marketing? Well, of course, you want to know about your customer, which we just talked about, but you also want to know your leverage points. What are the things that you do better, way better, or mostly better than other competitors or other places or other things they've tried, right? So the competitor can just be like not necessarily another business, but just another thing that they tried. So for instance, a competitor to you could be the fact that someone thinks they could do it on their own. So you're really competing against your customer. So if you think that your competitor is your customer, an example would be like a photographer. How many people think that they can do their family photos on their own and do it really well, as good as a photographer, right? You have to expand on your leverage points on why it's better to work with you, a professional, than it is to try to use a tripod and use your iPhone 17 Pro that you think because it has a nicer camera than it did 10, 15 years ago, then you can do it on your own, right? It's hands down that a photographer can take better photos, but there are a lot of people that think they could do it better than themselves. But they don't understand the issues with that, right? So you have to express those leverage points in your content. But then also you have authority. How do you build authority? This is talking about, your history. This is talking about how long you've been doing something. This is talking about your successes, right? This is talking about all the reasons why you command the stage to talk about the things you talk about. and to say, this is why you should listen to me. This is why I'm an expert. This is why it's important for you to follow my instructions. Then you also have relationship building. Like, you have to be clear on how you want to build relationships through content. Do you want to go live like I'm going live? Do you want to just talk to people? Do you want to DM people and have personal conversations? I actually thrive with that. I don't really prefer just kind of like talking into the abyss. I think why it's a little easier for me to go live and post than it is to pre-record and post. I can record videos all day long, but it's a little harder for me to post them. But I can easily go live and share what I've already sat and talked and shared about. So how are you going to build relationships through your content, right? So again, DM strategy, you have going live. There is, of course, posting pre-recorded videos. And that's what I would call your public content strategy. Then you have your community content strategy, which is how are you going to stay connected to those people? Are you going to have an email? Are you going to have a private community only Zoom or school community where you continue to connect, to educate, to inform your audience so you can nurture those relationships and eventually convert them into buying customers? So you have that relationship part. And then we have your innovative IP. So this is like your intellectual property. This is, what are the systems that you've created? What are the frameworks you've created? What are the systems you've created? What are the processes you've created? The concepts, all the things connected to the things unique to you that you offer. So you sell something and you sell an outcome. This could be how you diet, like how someone diets. This could be like a weight loss program. This could be working out. This could be clearing your skin. This could be how you dress if you're a stylist. You have all of these, you have these outcomes, but there's a system to how you get your outcome. Now, whether or not you have named that system, whether or not you have even acknowledged that system, you have to make that determination. But there is a specific way that you get to your outcome so that you're able to get the same result every single time. So that's what your IP is, and that should be part of your content strategy. Then you have the transformation, which is helping people get from where they are to where they want to be. And I think this is where a lot of content fails. Because if you talk about this before you talk about the deeper message market, if you talk about the transformation before you talk about the deeper messaging points, did something fall? Oh. Then you're likely to have people ignore your content because they're just like, how are you going to tell me you're going to help me do this when I don't even know what you could do? I don't know what your authority is. I don't know why I should trust you. I don't know why I should listen to you. And you want them to believe that they can lose 20 pounds with you. You want them to believe that they can get clear skin. You want them to believe that they can love their body in their wardrobe if they're styled correctly. Like, you want them to believe that you can successfully homeschool your children, right? Or you want them to believe that they can get over their trauma as a therapist, right? Or that they can have better communication with their loved ones as a therapist, or have better self-esteem or self-image. Before they can believe that you can help them go from the bad thing to the good thing, they have to understand that you understand their experience and their emotions. So that's why the deeper messaging comes before the clarity messaging. But understanding the clarity helps you create the deeper messaging. What I mean is, when you're creating content, you have to understand all of the things of the clarity framework that I just discussed before you can have deeper messaging. Because if you don't understand what makes your future customer tick, if you don't understand what keeps them up at night, what makes them feel bad, feel sad, feel glad, now I'm just rhyming here, as it pertains to the problem that they're trying to solve, then your content will be surface level and empty. And then you'll likely have ignored content, which is what you probably are already experiencing. And that's not even any shade, because I've definitely have had content ignored. But the point is to test out your messaging to make sure the point is to test out your messaging to make sure that you have the right message down. Once you have the right message down, then you can start getting into conversion content, which is what you've probably already tried before, which is posting about buying now. But we have this and this and this in the program. It'll help you do this and this and this in the program. But before you can get that, you have to understand your customer first. You have to focus on their internals before you start talking about externals. It's like the friend that hears about your problem, and the first thing that they start doing is trying to solve your problem. Well, girl, you need to do this. Boy, you should be doing this. Didn't I tell you this and this and that? Nobody wants to hear you solve their problems until you listen to their feelings, which is why in marketing, nobody cares about your message until you care about them. So that's the first step. Like, before you invite anybody to buy from you, before you invite anybody to check out, make a sell, get on a sales call, right? You need to make sure that you've taken the time to show that you understand what they've gone through. So that's the message for today. Make sure that you're clear, right? That you have clarity in your content marketing, understanding your customer, understanding your leverage points, what builds your authority, how you're building relationships on these different platforms, what your IP is, your intellectual property, and how you convey your individualized and innovative concepts and frameworks and strategies and all of these things, your processes, the transformation. And the last one, I left the why for last, because for why is yield. I left the last letter Y for last, because Y is yield, and that's what you get out of it, and not just like money and all of that, but what's your mission behind your marketing? What's your mission behind what you're marketing and what you're selling? Why do you care? Besides the money, I mean, it's cool if you want the money. You should want the money, right? But why is it important to you? Think about the Tom shoes. Their mission was to put shoes on children's feet. When you share your mission and you help your future customer know what you get out of selling to them besides the money, then they have something to rally behind and support you with. And it becomes not just about being your customer, but also becomes about being a supporter, and being highly convicted to share with other people, and to really become an advocate of your brand. Because when you have advocates, then you have essentially many salespeople that sell on your behalf. So go out there, create some content that means something to other people, and um, I'll see you in the next one. If you want help with your content marketing, you can grab my content marketing profit plan with the link in the description below. And I'll see you next time. Bye.